Yeah, it's really special to think about the inputs to feeling completely secure in a relationship. I feel like, oh, there's so many things I want to dig into on what you just said, but I do feel like just talking about relationship dynamics in terms of masculine and feminine energy, which we touched on the last episode a little bit. What you just described is a beautiful illustration of those principles, in that women, at least I'll speak for myself, growing up, I derived all of my value, all of my worth from how smart I was and how much I accomplished and how well I did. Keyword did. I was constantly doing, I was constantly pushing forward, I was constantly achieving, especially in school. And so a lot of my worth came from how smart I was and how much I accomplished. When I got older and moved on to the point where I graduated college, top of my class, and went into the workforce and was like, oh, it's time for love now. Because I had only had that frame, which is, by the way, a very masculine frame to be going around the world, I didn't ever know that it was possible to be valued for who I was, to be valued just for sitting here and shining a light through my energy. I was not aware of that concept at all. It was completely foreign to me. So when I started to do this inner work and realized that I had a window that had a lot of dirty specks on it from past wounds and insecurities and memories that really stuck with my soul, and I did all the things from breath work to somatic healing to sound baths to, and I still do these things today, by the way, because transformation takes maintenance. After I had done all those things, I said to myself, oh, I am valuable because I am. I'm valuable because I'm sitting here. I'm valuable because I bring my heart to situations and not just my mind. And I had this one breakthrough moment that I don't even think the people involved realized how significant this was. I just went to a random gathering. This is before I met Cam. And this was the first time that I think the principles of being versus doing as a woman clicked for me, and I felt euphoric. I was in a, think about typical kind of happy hour event. I was in a conversation for about 45 minutes with these two men who were talking about educational policy. I'm on the board of a preschool here in town, so I actually surprisingly know a lot about educational policy. But the entire conversation, I didn't say anything. I just listened. I could have interjected a ton of times. I could have flexed my knowledge. I could have showed them how smart I was, which is very much something I felt compelled to do in the past. But I just stood there, soaked in everything these two men were saying, like a sponge. And at the very end, I asked a question that literally blew these dudes back because they were so shocked that I basically had taken every of the key points that they made in this argument, put them into a concise paragraph, summing it all up, and then ask a question that they had never considered before. And they were like, they literally said, holy shit. Like, who are you? And it wasn't because I talked for 30 minutes at them or I flexed all my knowledge. It was because I probably spoke for 1 to 2 minutes tops, left them with something that was so energetically powerful and present that they had their minds blown. And then I walked away. And I just remember getting home and I was buzzing because I was like, wow, I've never done that before. I've never gone to a happy hour or an event and found myself in an intellectual conversation, which I love, and did not speak most of the time and did not share my opinions most of the time. And when I had that moment, I realized the real value I added to that interaction was my presence, was my energy, was my intentionality. And then at the very end, coming through with a question and a concise summary that pierced the entire interaction. So what are they going to remember most about that moment? Me. That's what they're going to remember, because they're going to remember my energy and what I brought to that conversation. And it wasn't my words. It was my energy.